गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Om. We shall speak here only in my room. It is peaceful here today. In the temple it was a disturbance in the temple. Last week, 2 days ago, there was a disturbance in the temple. So we shall have here only. Vedanta Vichara needs really a silent atmosphere, not a disturbing one, continuously a noisy one. So this is better. We continue here only. So in Sugama we were discussing. I think it's very difficult. Superimposing Sakshi upon the Anatma. This we have to discuss. Tamcha Pratyagatmanam Sarva Sakshanam. Pratyagatma, who is a Sarva Sakshi. Sarva Sakshi because he is a Sakshi of not only the external world, body, mind, sense organs, and even the Aham Pratyaya. He is a Sakshi of even Aham Pratyaya. Aham Pratyaya appears due to Adhyasa, but in the Sakshi itself there is no Aham Pratyaya. Sakshi means Atma by its very nature, free from I notion. The consciousness by its very nature is free from I notion. So that Sakshi is superimposed. Swabhavika Adhyasa, note it. It is Swabhavika Adhyasa, not that somebody has done it as an action. Nobody has done it as an action. You find yourself in your Anubhava that not only body, mind and sense organs are taken to be the Atma, even Atma is taken to be the Aham Pratyaya. Okay. Tasya Aham Pratyayitvadhyasasya Viparityena Tasya Aham Pratyayitvadhyasasya Viparyayena means Vaiparityena Tamcha Pratyagatmanam Mithyaiva Asmat Pratyaya Gocharatvena Swikrutam. See, Pratyagatma, see here the Atma is imposed upon Anatma. For this, the first thing, see, Tamcha Pratyagatmanam Mithyaiva Asmat Pratyaya Gocharatvena Swikrutam. Sakshi is taken as the subject. In fact, Atma is neither subject nor object. This we have stated before. Once again we can say subject is a relative. Subject means Gnatru. Subject means Gnatru. Gnatru is related to Gneyam. Gnatru is also consciousness. Sakshi is also consciousness. Yet there is a difference. When Gnatru is consciousness, he is conscious of something. He is conscious of a Gneyam. Okay, so he needs a relationship with Gneyam. Whereas Sakshi himself is not related to Gneyam. Without Gneyam, he is awareness. See, this is the difference. A Gnatru and Sakshi. There is a difference. Gnatru is related to Gneyam, depends upon Gneyam, related to Gneyam, and also knows one Gneyam after other, one after the other. Whereas the Sakshi knows entire world in one stroke. Second thing, it is not related to Gneyam. It is consciousness by its nature. Its consciousness is not related to Gneyam. Gnatru or the subject, the consciousness of the subject is related to Gneyam. Whereas the Sakshi is not related to Gneyam. Sakshi is independent of anything other than itself. Then the conscious nature, the consciousness of Sakshi is by itself, not due to any relationship. Okay, therefore, Pratyagatmanam Asmat Pratyaya Gocharatvena Swikrutam. How Sakshi is imposed upon Aham Pratyaya. Sakshi imposed on Aham Pratyaya means Sakshi is taken as Aham Pratyaya. See, whenever we say Sakshi, we always mean the subject, the innermost knower who knows the known. Because beyond the subject, beyond the Jnatrutvam, we can't trace further. Because when I say me, the me is always in contrast with the world. In contrast is also relation. Okay, whether relationship is a relation, contrast is also relation. See, by relation we mean these two ways. That Jnatru or subject is related to object. So here Sakshi is taken to be Jnatru, that is a Jnata, or the subject. Okay, so he says Pratyagatmanam Asmat Pratyaya Gocharatvena Swikrutam Vastutaha Sarva Sakshinam. So Pratyagatma is taken to be an Asmat Pratyaya Gochara. Asmat Pratyaya Gochara. What can be referred by I thought? Sakshi cannot be referred by any thought, much less by the I thought. But what is beyond reference? Let us take I thought first, because Sakshi is not available to be referred by you thought is very clear to us. you thought cannot be used to refer the Sakshi is known to us. But let us say, even I thought cannot be used. I notion cannot be used. Because I notion, what that I notion refers to is something which is less than Sakshi. What the I thought refers is an individual, is a relative knower, a Gnatru who is related to Gneyam, a Gnatru who is related to Gneyam. Such a relative knower alone can be referred by the Aham Vritti, I notion. Therefore, I notion cannot comprehend the entire Sakshi, because Sakshi is not available for any notion. Therefore, I notion cannot refer to Sakshi, though we use them. We use I notion in order to refer to Sakshi only through Adhyasa. By Adhyaropita we use it. Vedanta uses, Upanishad uses in Aham Brahmasmi. I notion is imposed upon the Sakshi in order to refer to it. See, it is like this. In order to, how does the Aham Brahmasmi works? How does Aham Brahmasmi work? We have said this before. Once again I say, because it's very important and interesting. We use Aham Pratyaya to refer the Sakshi. That means Aham Pratyaya is imposed on something which is beyond I notion, what cannot be referred by I notion. It is referred by I notion by wrongly imposing on it. It is not referable. It is not in fact available to I notion. Yet I use it because I impose on it. Isn't it? I impose. Impose means what is imposed is less than what it is. I notion is used to refer Sakshi by imposition. In fact, I notion requires you notion as a relative. So that relative I notion is used in order to help you to understand Sakshi. How? Because I notion, first what the I notion does is, it excludes the you notion, the world. So the I notion helps us to draw your attention from the you notion, from the world. So when you say Aham Brahmasmi, that word Aham, that Aham Pratyaya helps a sadhaka to exclude the rest of the world. So its attention, it turns inwardly. Inwardly means removing all other objects. Idam Pratyaya, you thought, this thought, it excludes all other thoughts so that you pay attention towards the subject. Once you exclude all other thoughts, see how it works. Once you exclude all other thoughts, then aham thought is also not required. In the beginning, aham thought is used, imposed aham thought to help you to exclude the remaining one. When everything else is removed, even aham thought is also not required, because aham is only to exclude something. When everything is excluded, why do you need even aham thought? Then aham thought also drops off. Then what remains is a sakshi. That means what is beyond aham thought is explained through I thought by lakshartha, by implication, not by denotation. Aham thought doesn't denote Atma, but it implies. It implies. Because what is referred by aham thought, what is actually beyond aham thought, but tentatively referred by aham thought in order to help you to to get rid of, in order to exclude your attention from everything else. To turn your attention inwardly. Once you turn your attention inwardly, the one who is turning attention, that aham pratyayam also turns inward. When aham pratyaya too turns inward, generally you see, aham pratyaya stands only in relation with you. I thought stands only in relation with you. Means by trying to know idam, aham pratyaya remains. Aham pratyaya lives in only relationship with you pratyaya. Means it needs something to objectify. The gnatru needs some gneyam to objectify. So while objectifying gneyam, gnatru lives. Gnatru lives only in his relational state. If gneyam is removed, gnatru doesn't survive. See, this is an interesting point. Gnatru lives only in relation with gneyam. While knowing gneyam alone, gnatru lives. If gneyam stops, gnatru also stops. Isn't it? But how to stop gneyam? Gneyam cannot be stopped because gneyam is there. Gnatru gneyam, this relative state we are living in. This is a natural jivatvam. This is natural, beginningless jivatvam. Nobody can stop it. Then how? This is where Vedantic Upadesha, Mahavakya comes and helps you to dissolve the aham pratyaya. That is the gnyatrutvam. It helps you to dissolve that aham pratyaya. How? The gnata, now tell you how it works, now I am telling you. Gnatru is objectifying gneya. That means he is getting related to gneyam. When it is related to gneyam, it stands, it survives as a gnatru. Okay, so far this we know it. Now what we do, what Mahavakya does is, let the gnatru objectify the sakshi. Objectify means let the gnatru be aware of sakshi. Not objectify, be aware of the sakshi. Earlier, gnatru was aware of gneyam. Gneyam is a given thing, an object. But now, let the gnatru try to know the sakshi himself. In trying to know the sakshi, gnatru cannot stand. This is very interesting thing. Gnatru can stand only by relating to gneyam, external gneyam, something other than itself. But here, gnatru has to know the very sakshi. When gnatru has to know the sakshi, it has to include the entire world. It has to include gneyam, gnatru, these two it has to merge into sakshi. Because sakshi means he is the basis of gnatru and gneyam. He is common to gnatru and gneyam. Watch this. Sakshi is the basis of gnatru and gneyam. Sakshi is the common to both, underlying common to gnatru and gneyam. Now, if gnatru is trying to know that underlying sakshi, one thing happens, two things happen. Gnatru, who was related to gneyam, the gneyatvam goes away. Earlier, two things happen. How the jnanam takes place, see, gnatru, he was related to gneyam. His attention from gneyam goes away. When gnatru is turning his attention to sakshi, sakshi is underlying the gnatru and gneyam. Sakshi is common to gnatru and gneyam. He is a bottom, he is at the underlying behind, underlying the both gnatru and gneyam simultaneously. So when gnatru pays attention, turns his attention towards the sakshi, first thing happens, two things happen I told. one thing happens is his attention to Gneyam slips. First he turns his attention towards Sakshi, his attention from the Gneyam slips. So attention from Gneyam slips, then Gnatru also melts away. Second thing is when Gnatru tries to be aware of entire Sakshi, Sakshi is not available. Sakshi is not available because Sakshi cannot be caught. When Sakshi is not available, Gnatru himself cannot stand, because Gnatru stands only always while trying to know while knowing Gneyam. While objectifying something, Gnatru stands. Sakshi cannot be objectified. When nothing is available for objectification, like when nothing is available for objectification, it is like when eyes are trying to see an object. When eyes are trying to see some object, if object is present, it can see. If there is no object, all objects are removed, what happens? The eyesight also merges away. The seeing remains only with the help of the sight, object of seeing. When there is no object, seeing also becomes dissolved. Similarly, when Gnatru turns his attention towards Sakshi, its attention from Gneya, its relation with Gneya goes away. Two things simultaneously happen, and I told two, these two don't happen one after the other, they happen simultaneously. The attention from the Gnatru is taken, Gneyam is taken away. When the attention from Idam or Gneyam, when attention from Idam is taken away, Gnatru cannot stand. Simultaneously, Gnatru is trying to know the entire Sakshi, who includes Gnatru and Gneya both. See, Sakshi includes Gnatru and Gneya, subject and object. Sakshi is underlying subject and object. You try to know that Sakshi, who is neither subject nor object, or who includes both subject and object. When you try to know such a Sakshi, can you stand as a Gnatru? See, you can't stand as a Gnatru, because Gnatru stands only in relation with Gneyam. But Sakshi is not a Gneyam. Sakshi is underlying both Gnatru and Gneyam. You see the difference? Sakshi is underlying Gnatru and Gneyam. Therefore, he is neither a Gneyam nor Gnatru. Therefore, when you try to think of that Sakshi, who is not a Gneyam, that means you have diverted attention from Gneyam. You took your attention from Gneyam and turning towards the Sakshi. Two things simultaneously happen. Gnatru withdraws attention from the Gneyam, relation with the Gneyam. Then the Gneyam disappears. Then it is unable to grasp Sakshi, because Sakshi is not available for objectification, is not available for thought. And that Sakshi you have to know. When Gnatru is trying to know the Sakshi, Gnatru is trying to know the Sakshi, it can't make a thought of it, because Sakshi is not a thought. Sakshi is not a thought. Gneyam is a thought, but Sakshi is not a thought. Gnatru is a thought because it is a relative thought. Okay. When Gnatru withdraws its relationship with Gneyam, means withdraws his relation with Gneyam means all thinking stops. Then what happens? And it turns attention towards the Sakshi. When it turns attention towards the Sakshi, Sakshi is not available. Available is dropped. What was available for conception was dropped, and what is available cannot be conceived. Sakshi cannot be conceived. Gneyam is dropped. When Gneyam is dropped, Gnatru cannot remain. Gnatru cannot survive. He melts away. Okay. Then Gnatru cannot survive when it is trying to know the Sakshi. Because trying to know the Sakshi being not available, trying to know the Sakshi, when Sakshi is not available for conception, the one who is trying to know himself disappears, melts away. Because Gnatru stands only in relation with Gneyam. With Sakshi, you can't establish a relation. With Sakshi, Gnatru cannot establish a relation. Therefore, Gnatru cannot stand. Gnatru melts away. Melts away means what? He merges back into Sakshi. This is what is Jnanam. Brahma Jnanam means Gneyam, when you exclude your attention from Gneyam, Gnatrutvam goes away. Gnatrutvam cannot stand. Gnatrutvam also cannot stand. Two ways I am talking. Gnatrutvam cannot stand when Gneyam is removed. When Gnatrutvam cannot stand, when it is trying to understand Sakshi, that means it pays attention to Sakshi. When it pays attention to Sakshi, Sakshi is not available for conception. Sakshi cannot form a thought. Therefore, Gnatru cannot stand. Without a thought, Gnatru cannot stand. Gnatru merges into Sakshi. Okay. This is the way mind understands. Mind, by dissolving itself into Sakshi, becoming one with Sakshi, it understands. Therefore, Swamiji says, Jnana Vritti means what? Aham Brahmasmi ಎಂಬ ಜ್ಞಾನ ವೃತ್ತಿ ಹುಟ್ಟುತ್ತದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಅರ್ಥವೇನು? ವೃತ್ತಿ ಅರಿವಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಳುಗಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತದೆ, ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Swamiji says, the vritti merges into Sakshi. Vritti doesn't objectify Sakshi. Vritti doesn't get related to Sakshi. Because Gnatru stands only by being related to Gneyam. Sakshi is not a Gneyam. Sakshi is a underlying basis of Gnatru and Gneyam. So when Gnatru pays attention towards, it is something like, I give you another example. You can easily understand. When eyes are trying to see some color, there is a vision of the eye. That means darshana is there. There is a sight in the eye. Eyes can see an object, a color. When eyes are, okay, this hand you are seeing, you can see hand has got fingers, have some color. Okay, but now I say, try to see your eyes only. Eyes are, let the eyes see the eyes itself. Eyes see fingers is okay. Now fingers are near, still near. Now what happened? Let the eyes see the eye itself. The eye itself. When the eyes are trying to see the eye itself, the Gneyam disappears, eyes also disappear simultaneously. When the Gneyam goes away, because your attention from the Gneyam is turned towards eyes. Eyes were seeing the color, but we don't know what color eyes have. Whether it is a color or not, we don't know. Now let the eyes see, instead of seeing the color, which is an object of eyesight, let the eyes see the very eyes. Eyes means kannugalu, the very netram. Let the eyes turn inward and see the eyes itself. When the eyes are trying to see the color of the eyes, eyesight merges. Eyesight disappears, it becomes a blank. Because when the color is outside, eyesight is there. When the color, when the attention goes away from the color, then the eye is turned upon the eye only, eye melts away. Therefore, similarly here, Gnatru pays attention to Gneyam earlier as an Ajnani. Ajnani means Gnatru, as a Gnatru is Ajnani. Because Gnatru knows, Ajnanam means what? Gnatru knows the Gneyam. While knowing Gneyam, he stands as a Gnatru. Gnatru is a vritti. Gneyavannu tiliyutta iruva vritti. Gnatru is a vritti while knowing the Gneyam. While getting related to Gneyam, Gnatru is a vritti, is a thought, is a notion. So that notion itself is Adhyasa, and this is Avidya. To be as a Gnatru is Avidya, that is Adhyasa. The very Gnatrutvam is Adhyasa. See that? This is Avidya. Now, Avidya, the Gnatrutvam which is Avidya, Gnatru, by standing Gnatru, you can't be Jnani. Gnatru standing as a Gnatru cannot be Jnani. Okay, because Gnatru standing as a Gnatru gets related to Gneyam. Only by knowing Gneyam, he survives as a Gnatru. He survives, he continues to live as a Gnatru only by knowing Gneyam. Gneyam continuously is related to Gneyam. If the Gneyam goes away, Gnatru disappears. See, when Gneyam is suspended, Gnatru is also suspended. This is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi. It is not Jnanam. Gneyam is suspended. Gnatru is suspended. Because Gnatru depends upon Gneyam, related to Gneyam. So, Gneyam related to Gneyam is Gnatru. When Gneyam Gnatru suspended, a thought of suspension is called a Nirvikalpa Samadhi. But it is not Jnanam, note it. Because what is suspended can be revoked. The Gnatru Gneyam can come back again. Okay. When Gneyam is suspended, Gnatru remains suspended. This is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Then what is Brahma Jnanam? There is a difference. Because in suspended, Gnatru Gneyam, they are together as one. It is like two sides of the same paper. Okay. In relation with Gneyam, Gnatru is present. Gnatru is surviving, is living. Now what we do is, not only you turn away attention from Gneyam, when you turn your attention from Gneyam, what happens? When you turn your attention from Gneyam, there is a blank of Gneyam. Okay. Gneyam is absent, but it is a blank. Blank is only a contrast of Gneyam. I am slowly going because it's a very subtle. It's a very subtle, but once you understand, it clicks. Instantly you are a Jnani. So, Gneyam, when you suspend, it's a blank of Gneyam. Okay. So, Gnatru is still relating to blank because it is a suspension of Gneyam. Therefore, in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Gneyam is suspended. That's all. But not badita, not falsified. In Brahma Jnanam, it is falsified. What is the difference? What is that falsification? I'll tell you now. Gneyam not only set aside, because when Gneyam set aside, there is an absence of Gneyam. There is a blankness of Gneyam. Okay? There is a blank of Gneyam. But in Brahma Jnanam, there is no blank. Because the Gneyam and blankness, both along with the Gnatru, all these merge into Sakshi. Therefore, in Jnanam, Gnatru is not only suspending Gneyam, but paying attention to Sakshi. In Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Gneyam is suspended, but the Gnatru's attention on Sakshi is not there. Jnani is not aware of the Sakshi. Gnatru is not aware of the Sakshi. Gnatru suspends Gneyam, that's all, is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. When Gneyam is suspended, Gnatru also remains sleeping. When Gneyam is suspended, I repeat, Gnatru also remains submissive, that is sleeping state. Again he wakes up, because when the Gneyam wakes up, Gnatru wakes up. This is only Nirvikalpa Samadhi. But in Jnanam, not only he suspends Gneyam, that means he turns his attention from Gneyam, he turns his attention towards Sakshi. When he turns his attention towards Sakshi, the Gneyam and Gnatru, both of them merge into Sakshi. Okay, because when you turn your attention from Gneyam, where does the Gneyam go? Gneyam is nothing but Sakshi alone. Appeared as a Gneyam when I stand as a Gnatru, when I appear as a Gnatru. See, when I appear as a Gnatru, I start seeing a Gneyam simultaneously with me. When the Sakshi appears as a Gnatru, simultaneously the same Sakshi appears as a Gneyam. So Gneyam, Gnatru simultaneously appear. When I take myself to be Gnatru, I find myself a Gneyam with me, a Gneyam side by side with me. Because while knowing Gneyam alone, I can stand as a Gnatru. Okay, so therefore Gneyam has no existence apart from Sakshi. Sakshi alone appears as a Gneyam by mistake. This is not there in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. They say suspend Gneyam, but Gneyam is only an Adhyasa of Sakshi alone. This point, Nirvikalpa Samadhi is not there. It's not there in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Only in Vedanta you have it. They suspend Gneyam into blankness. When Gneyam is suspended, it becomes blank. We don't simply suspend. We understand it is an Adhyasa of the Sakshi. Sakshi misunderstood as Gneyam. Okay? This is the difference. So Sakshi is misunderstood as a Gneyam and Gnatru simultaneously. When Sakshi is misunderstood, in the misunderstanding there is a Gneyam and there is a Gnatru. Two vrittis, or one vritti, two sides, looked from two sides. So Sakshi is misunderstood as a knower, Sakshi is misunderstood as a Gneyam. Sakshi is misunderstood, the same thing I repeat in other words, Sakshi is misunderstood as a Gnatru and a Gneyam, or Sakshi is misunderstood as a subject and the object. So when I withdraw from the subject, withdrawing means what? Not simply suspending Gneyam, understanding the Gneyam as Sakshi alone misunderstood as Gneyam. See, in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Gneyam is not understood as an Adhyasa of Sakshi. Only it is suspended, that's all. It is not understood as an Adhyasa of the Sakshi. Adhyasa means a misunderstanding of the Sakshi. Sakshi himself is misunderstood, is called as Gneyam, is called as a Gnatru. See, when Sakshi is misunderstood, appears as a Gneyam and sees it as a Gnatru. As a knower of it, he stands as a knower of it and knowing the Gneyam. So, this Gneyam and Gnatru, both are the misunderstanding of Sakshi. Okay? Therefore, Gneyam and Gnatru, when the Gnatru takes away his attention from Gneyam, what happens to Gneyam? See, in Nirvikalpa Samadhi simply suspends attention from Gneyam. That's all. But in Jnanam, the difference see between Nirvikalpa Samadhi and Brahma Jnanam, not only you take away attention from Gneyam, when you take away attention, where does the Gneyam go? It doesn't become suspended. It is understood as a Sakshi alone is another name. Another name for Sakshi is Gneyam. There is no Gneyam. It is nothing but Sakshi. Okay. It is Sakshi alone appears as Gneyam. And trying to see the Gneyam, I stand as a Gnatru. The same Sakshi stands as a Gnatru and stands as a Gneyam. Seeing the Gneyam stands as a Gnatru. So when Gnatru takes away the attention from Gneyam, not only takes his attention from Gneyam, he merges into Sakshi. That means Gneyam and Gnatru both are understood as one with Sakshi, one with Sushupti. They are not separate from Sushupti. Okay, Gnatru and Gneyam of the waking state are one with Sushupti. When they are already one with Sushupti. From the standpoint of Sushupti, they are not different at all. Gnatru and Gneyam don't exist apart from Sushupti which is Sakshi. So from the Sakshi they don't exist. Apart from Sakshi they don't exist. Therefore, neither there is Gnatru nor there is a Gneyam. They are Adhyasta. The Adhyasta means in Sakshi they are already one and inseparable from Sakshi. There is only one non-dual Sakshi. There is neither Gnatru nor Gneyam. If you see as a Gneyam, you stand as a Gnatru. Then you stand as a Gnatru, see as a Gneyam, this is Dvaitam. So, not only you turn attention away from Gneyam, if you simply turn your attention from Gneyam, there will only Nirvikalpa Samadhi. But in Jnanam, not only turning attention from Gneyam, you are paying attention to Sakshi. In paying attention to Sakshi, Gneyam, Gnatru merge into Sakshi. Merging means what? When do they merge? Merging is not an event. Merging is not. Merging of Gnatru, Gneyam into Sakshi is not an event. It is already a self-existing fact. You come to recognize, you come to cognize that you are already Sakshi. There was no Gnatru apart from Sakshi, there is no Gneyam apart from Sakshi. You are never away from Sakshi, there is only Sakshi, and Sakshi has been there, it is, it will be always Sakshi. There is no Gnatru, there is no Gneyam apart from Sakshi. So, when does it merge? When did it not merge? I ask you a question. When was it away from Sakshi? Tell me. When was Pramatru away from Sakshi? When was Prameya away from Sakshi? Prameya, Pramatru, or in its real nature, Sakshi alone, there is no Pramatru, Prameya apart from Sakshi. They never existed. Even now it is the same. All the time, all along, continuously, eternally, they are Sakshi alone. Okay. Therefore, Gnatru not only turns attention from Gneyam, but himself merges into Sakshi. Mulgi hoguttane. Himself is another name for Sakshi. Okay. When I say this much Akasha, is another name for the same Akasha. When I say this much Akasha, remove the hands. Hands are Gneyam. Hand is Gneyam. The Akasha in between hand is a Gnatru. See here, you see. Gnatru, Gneyam and Sakshi. Entire Akasha is Sakshi. Hands are Gneyam. The Akasha within the hands, within two hands is Gnatru. The Akasha within two hands is Gnatru. And hands are Gneyam. Then what is Sakshi? Whole Akasha is Sakshi. The Sarva Vyapaka, complete Akasha, total Akasha. The total space is Sakshi. From the standpoint of Sakshi, neither hands nor this much of space. This much of space doesn't exist apart from the total Akasha. Does it exist? This much of space, this demarcated space, does it exist apart from the total Akasha? Oh, yes, it doesn't exist. Then it merges back. As you understand this thing, you understand that is already merged. You don't merge this much of space into Akasha. This small space, do you merge into Akasha, or you understand it is already one with it, it never was separate from it? Do you understand it as already merged, or you merge it as an event? You don't merge it as an event because there is no need to merge it. You only understand that is already one with it. It is already merged in it. It was never separate. It was already one with it. It has been one with it. Even now it is one, and it is never away from it. This understanding takes place. No event takes place. Okay. Therefore, Pramatru withdraws his attentions from Prameya and also turns his attention to Sakshi. Then Prameya, Pramatru both merge into Sakshi. Pramatrutvam, the Gnatru also is understood as one with Sakshi. There was never a Gnatru. It is another name for the same Sakshi. Once you understand this thing, Gnatru is another name for Sakshi. There was no Sakshi. There was no Gnatru at all apart from Sakshi. This much of Akasha is another name for the same all-pervasive Akasha. This much Akasha never existed as a separate Akasha, and no need to merge into Akasha, because it is already one with it. Therefore, it never was separate. So there is no question of merging, because it was never separate. This understanding is called Jnanam. Okay. There, Vritti immerses into infinite consciousness. All the Vrittis are already within consciousness. Aham Vritti, Pramatru Vritti, Jnatru Vritti is also within consciousness. Therefore, it is not outside consciousness. There is no Aham Vritti other than consciousness. There is only one infinite consciousness. Okay? This understanding is Jnanam. Therefore, in misunderstanding, what happens? The Sakshi is taken to be Jnatru, that is Adhyasa. Sakshi is taken to be Jnatru is Adhyasa. Understand, there is no Jnatru. Jnatru is another name for same Sakshi. There is a you have been Sakshi, you were now you are Sakshi. And you were, you are, you will be. Everybody is only just that Sakshi alone. This is a Jnanam. And taking that Sakshi for Pramatru, I feel that I am a Jnatru, I am trying to know, I am a Jnatru knowing the Gneyam. Some Gneyam I know, and I want to know another Gneyam. So in Gneyam there are many. In Gneyam there are many Gneyam. One after, you divide the Gneyam into many things. Jnatru stands while knowing the Gneyam. Gneyam are many, one after the other, one after the other. You keep on knowing the Gneyam. You keep on remaining as a Jnatru. You keep on surviving as a Jnatru because you keep on knowing one or other Gneyam, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. Keep on knowing the Gneyam. Therefore, you survive as a Jnatru. Okay. When you withdraw your attention from the Gneyam, that means you exclude from the Gneyam, what happened? The very excluding from the Gneyam and turning your attention to Sakshi. Sakshi is not available. Sakshi is not available for Vritti. Gneyam is available for Vritti. Sakshi is not available for Vritti. What happens then? Jnatru Vritti, which was knowing the Gneyam before, when it has turned from attention from Gneyam, Jnatru merges back into Sakshi. Jnatru doesn't survive, doesn't stand. Okay. If Jnatru survives as a blank of Gneyam, that is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Okay. Jnatru, when turns attention from Gneyam, he sees the blank of Gneyam. That means it is only Nirvikalpa Samadhi. In Brahma Jnanam, when you turn away attention from Gneyam, the Jnatru merges into this thing, and Gneyam also doesn't exist, because not only you suspended it, you understand Gneyam as Brahman, Jnatru as Sakshi, Gneyam as a Sakshi, the same Sakshi, because he is underlying both Jnatru and Gneyam. Means same Sakshi you are calling as Jnatru, same Sakshi you are calling as Gneyam. Two names for the one entity. Two names for the one entity. In that one entity, two names are meaningless. Two names don't exist. So therefore, that way Jnatru Gneyam, both of them are merged into Sakshi. This is called Jnanam. This merging is not an event that is happening. Therefore, it is not a tentative suspension so that it will come back again. If it is a suspension, Jnatru doesn't merge. Only Gneyam is suspended. Jnatru doesn't merge. See, this is the difference between Yogika Samadhi, that is Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and Brahma Jnanam. People say all Nirvikalpa Samadhi is Brahma Jnanam. No, there is a difference. I don't know whether you have understood. Anyway, we'll continue. Time is up. Jnatru turns his attention away from Gneyam. There is a Gneyam is suspended. Suspended means what? You come to the contrast of Gneyam. You come to the blank of Gneyam. That's all. So Jnatru remains in relation with the blank of Gneyam. Contrast of Gneyam. That's all. But in Jnanam, Gneyam and contrast of Gneyam both are merge into Sakshi. Sakshi himself is misunderstood as Gneyam and Gnatru. Therefore, Sakshi and Gnatru and Gneyam are another names, Vacharambanam of the Sakshi alone. Therefore, it merges when it is already merged. It was never away from it. Therefore, no question of merging because it never existed apart from it. There is only one Sakshi who is non-dual. Gnatru Gneyam both don't exist. This understanding is called Jnanam. Okay. There is nothing to speak because there is neither Gnatru nor Gneyam. And there is nobody to speak. And there is nobody to listen. Nobody to speak and nobody to listen. It is just Chaitanya Rupam Sakshi, which has existed, which has been existing. It is always there. It is always eternally there. So that is a non-dual, eternal, timeless existence. Timeless consciousness, eternally existing. That's what is Jnanam. Okay? Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Tatsat.